We are sponsored by Soho Bistro and Lounge.
Good morning, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Talk About It with Sam, where we discuss today's current events, life, health, wealth, and lifestyle. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for more content. We have so much more to come.
Shit always scare me.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Talk About It with Sam. On today's episode, I am back here with my friend Kentel, who I'll be interviewing for my second time, and we are talking about kind of just the criminal system and how he got through it and how he was affected, his mental health was truly affected, and things that he did to keep a positive outlook. Hi, Kentel, how are you?
How you doing? I'm good.
Awesome. So the last podcast, we talked a lot about mental health. We kind of like ended on that note, but we didn't get to dive super deep into it. And it kind of like arised a bunch of questions in me, like how did you deal with isolation and what was your mental health like?
So the isolation aspect of it is like, as if you get any trouble in there, it's just like they throw you on like 23-1 and you just in a cell all day, and then you have to figure out like different ways to keep yourself entertained and stuff like that. But in my case, I was in DDU. DDU is like the Department of Disciplinary Unit, which is like prison inside of prison.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you had to do some like but what they consider like bad to end up in there, like it would have been a fight with the police or fighting with a CO or stabbing somebody or some gang involvement, like any of that you can land you in DDU. I know people that did 13 years DDU, you know what I'm saying, 20 plus 17 years DDU. But fortunately, by the time I got there, they can only house you there for so long. So I did 2 years, which isn't that long compared to what some of them did. But it was still crazy because DDU was like you're in a cell all day, and like after the first 30 days, you don't have nothing to sell when you first get there. Then after the first 30 days, it's like you get what you call it, a Walkman. At that time it was a Walkman, and you get one phone call. And then after 60 days you get a TV, and then two phone calls. And then after 90 days you get three phone calls. And then after 120 days you get four phone calls, and you get four phone calls every month after that. But if you think about like how much you use your phone, and how much like the phone and like the social media, how much that is like a part of your like daily routine. Imagine being only to use that 4 times a month. You know what I'm saying? Like it's different. So it kind of like it frustrates you psychologically. You just got to learn how to deal with it. And with me, I just like bury myself in books,
Right.
or just other different forms. I write a lot too. I write essays, I write music, I write poetry, I do all of that too. So mine was usually either reading or writing, like either or. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
So for anyone that didn't catch the first episode, Kentel spent 19 years in prison for a murder case that he caught as a young teenager, but was released after many, many years of kind of just like positive doings and then really good behavior. He went back to college. He actually got a degree while he was incarcerated. And then I wanted to kind of circle back too. So 23-1, just for people that don't understand, 23 means that you are isolated for 23 hours and then you get out of isolation for 1 hour a day, correct?
Yeah.
That's intense.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, some people it becomes the norm because they're so in and out of. Like I said, I know mad people that did way more like solitary time than me, but I'm like, yo, the little bit that I did, and I'm saying a little bit because it's like compared to other people that I know, but 2 years is still a long time. But and that's just only one stint. Like I've been in and out of the hole before, but like yeah, it's different when you're there for 10 years.
Right. Now, you said something that was like super, super important that I want to touch on too, because we're all, as human beings in today's society, we're used to instant gratification, instant satisfaction all the time. And then we're constantly on social media, so we're always involved somehow, some way. Now, for you, being a young man, pretty much being raised your adulthood from a young man into your adulthood and in prison, how did you tolerate like the phases of your life? Like, what did you do at times where you felt super, super low?
You just gotta like you seek counsel just from people that been through it, or like know what it's like in your situation. So it's like you get that from the people around you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I got it from like the older guys or dudes that I knew that was like from my area that was going through it, that been through it, and I just consulted them. That was like the closest thing we had to a therapist, because a lot of us didn't feel comfortable going to mental health, because you always feeling like you're not really knowing like what they're gonna report back to the
Mhm.
DOC. So it's like, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna go in there and tell them anything, because like I don't know them, don't trust them. It's a mistrust. It's all of that. So I used to just kick it with the people, the individuals around me, and vent to them whenever I was like depressed or sad or angry about anything, just because I felt like it was more. Um, I felt more comfortable doing that than the other like forms of treatment. So that's what I did my whole time there. I never talked to like a therapist or mental health or anything like that.
Okay.
I do it now out here because it's like I have more of a choice, like on who I see, and I'm recognizing it's not. I'm not like I don't have it in the back of my head like, oh, they out to get me, or you know what
Mhm.
I'm saying? We're not looking at it from that point of view. I'm not looking at it from that point of view. So it's a little bit different. It's like I have my own personal choice on who I could consult or who I can talk to or vent to. So yeah, that's the
Wow.
difference.
That's beautiful too, because I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad that you were willing to express that. So you do currently go to therapy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do
I do.
you think that it's helped you?
Yeah, in a sense. Yep, yep. And like I said before, it's like it's only certain. So, like I can only speak to them about certain things to a certain capacity, because they are only going to understand so much. So you know what I'm saying? It's like when it comes to like certain things like prison related that I know only dudes who have been in prison can. I'll talk to somebody that I know has been in those shoes, because I feel like in those situations it's a little bit better to um speak to somebody that I can have a discussion with it about, or they can give me advice on it. So not a therapist isn't like the universal solution. It's just like in some aspects it is. You know what I'm saying? When we dealing with like anger and emotions and certain things like that, then I'm like, all right, let me talk to Sarah or whoever else that I have as like a professional expert on those type of things.
Gotcha, gotcha. Now, if you could go back to your younger self, would you encourage a different method? Would you have encouraged you to go to therapy while you were in prison?
Oh, I don't think it would have worked.
No, still no. Okay, that's okay. Fair enough.
Kind of hard headed, so I don't think I would have been like receptive towards it as like at all. Just being inside there, like and I know some people that haven't had like bad experiences with mental health in prison, because I know like some people that have had like good relationships with mental health in there, but it was like I was never in a state of mind to even get that far. I just was so like not trusting of like people like administration in there at all. So it was different for me.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. One thing that I wanted to talk about today too was, so I personally, I'm a health coach, so I'm a personal trainer, and then also I coach on nutrition. And I've heard horror stories about people that have been incarcerated and the types of food that they offer and the things that they have. Can we talk a little bit about the nutrition when you're incarcerated and what is it like as far as just like diet and exercise overall?
Oh man, it's crazy. They be talking about like food deserts out here, where it's like a lack of like nutrition or like resources that are like healthy food or healthier options and stuff like that. But in there, it's like you don't have no option. You only can get what they give you. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like you either eating a state food that is like not as nutritious, or it's like it may be an alternative to it, but I don't know. I never felt like the food choices were good in there. So when it came to um like nutrition or health, like it's like even if it is a better choice, it's like a lesser evil. I felt like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's like nah. Out here it's a little bit different because you have options. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But in there, it's like whatever you order on Canteen, and it's Bushy Creek, it's City Cow, there's all these preservatives and all this other stuff that I know for a fact ain't good for you. So it's
Mhm.
like you can pick and choose. You can pick and choose. I'm not gonna say there ain't some healthy options because there is. There's always situations where you can eat a little bit healthier in there, but it's hard to just to sustain.
Absolutely. And then it kind of like it got my curiosity going because mental health is so huge when you're in prison and you're going through all of this isolation, especially as a young man transitioning into a man. That's a difficult. That's super difficult, especially knowing that you might have the rest of your life to be there because you technically were given a life sentence.
Yeah,
So it kind of like it stirred my curiosity because mental health, nutrition, and physical activity all go hand in hand, right? So even though you're incarcerated, you're still a human being. You need basic needs. So to know
hmm
that they were providing like fruits and vegetables, and that you were maintaining exercise and things like that, would you say that it's fair enough that that would have helped with your mental health?
yeah. But you gotta even when it comes to like fruit, right? Like they won't give you certain fruit because it's like dudes are making homebrew in there.
Yeah,
So it's we can't give oranges because people keep making alcohol with it or apples. It's
yeah,
alcohol. It's like they don't give you like natural juices because it's like it's they're worried about that. So it's like as far as fruits, like the most you'll get is bananas, bananas, and this is only in the spots I've it may be different elsewhere, but from what I've seen, it's like bananas is like the fruit of choice, and sometimes the occasional apple. But you can still make alcohol with apples too, so they don't do it as much as they should.
wow, wow.
Yeah,
It is nice to know that they do have some healthy options, and that for the people that really want it and that are there, they can kind of make something work.
yeah.
It's a tough position to be in.
Hmm.
Just it's a tough position to be in, being isolated and like not having the education that you need and not having the resources that you need.
Your shit with mute. Oh,
Ah,
okay. Nah, I couldn't hear you for a second, but it was you good now.
okay. Is there any stories that you could share with us specifically to like your journey that taught you something that you use to this day while you're incarcerated?
Um, hmm, any um,
Or even just a lesson?
just to be like patient and optimistic and hopeful through it all, because it's like there's so many things that like can keep you down like mentally, or there's so many things that is meant to like make you feel oppressed or make you feel like lesser than or make you feel like there's so many like inhumane practices in there. So it's like the them trying to like intentionally separate you from your family with certain things that they do, and it's just like all of these different forces that it like meant to frustrate you, agitate you, or like induce you to give up. And it's
Mhm.
like you don't have like the bandwidth, if you don't have like the mental capacities or like the mental fortitude to even get through that, then it's like it's difficult. So it's like um to just be strong, that's the only thing like I can like I don't it's so much it's so and I was in there for 19 years, so it's like so many different phases that I went through, like me trying to find myself and things of that nature. There's so many, imagine how many different phases like you went through in the last 19 years. But yeah, out here, so it's like it's a little less restricted, but in there it's like it's so many different restrictions while you going through like becoming you that you find it difficult. Like it's ups and downs, it's highs and lows, and then it's like mad times where I felt like, what I'm saying, I was gonna give up, or it was too much, or it was like I just want to lock myself in a cell for months and just not come out and socialize and interact with people. But it's like remaining hopeful and know that it's like my day's coming. That's what I used to always be like. Yeah, this shit's temporary. Like I had to remind myself every day, like, yeah, it's temporary. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be good when I get out. Like just having that in the back of my head, reminding myself that this is temporary, and it's like, um, yeah. I read in this book, it said no one is truly defeated until a defeat has been accepted as a reality, and that shit always stuck with me. It's like you only gonna be defeated if you accept it. You know
That's
what I'm saying?
beautiful.
Yeah, if I never accept it, then and I never lay down and die, then it's like I'm always the opposite. I'm always vigilant about getting back out there. So it's like I was always preparing myself for release. Like I
Mhm.
never was sitting back like, oh, I ain't gonna get out of prison. Like if you kick it with people that know me, some people didn't even know I was doing the amount of time just because of the way I was moving. They're like, oh damn, I thought you was getting out. I didn't know you had a I didn't know you had a light sentence, but it's like I'm carrying myself in a manner that's like, yo, I'm gonna get out one day. Yeah, I'm gonna acquire as many skills as I can while I'm in here, do carpentry, the needs program, which is training service dogs, working in the kitchen. It's like um uh developing a work habit and putting myself in situations that so that when I do am presented the opportunity, I could like give myself the best possible chances of success. And that's what I did, yo. That's what I did. I never was just in there playing poker on a poker table or playing in the gym every day playing basketball. I'm like, nah, I gotta like prepare myself for my moment.
Mhm. It's
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
So the last thing I want to touch on is jail violence. How did you find yourself strong enough to kind of stay away from the amount of jail violence that you had to endure? Because the last podcast we talked a lot about how you were involved in some. There was a stabbing, and then you talked about how people, were super violent. There was a lot of gang violence. How did you stay away from that?
I feel like it was harder when I made a decision that I was just like gonna start doing the right thing, because it's like things starts coming whenever you choose to move in a better manner, or like choose to start making the right decisions. It seems like, I don't know, like the temptation of everything else is like tenfold after that.
Mhm.
It's like, all right, you want to be you want to do this, or you want to do programming, you want to stay out of trouble, but then it's like those life challenges that test you. It's like, all right, let's see how you stand firm on that. And it's just like learning how to talk to people differently, and sit down, have a discussion with them, and just have a conversation with them, like, you know what I'm saying? Because I done been in situations where I done bumped into individuals that I could have fought with, but then it's like, all right, yo, bro, I'm not on that type of time no more. Like, I'm trying
Mhm.
to get out of like, I don't care about none of that street shit no more. This shit doesn't serve me. Like, it has no value to me no more. Like, I only lost from participating in it. So it's like I just reached that point where I was just good. And then I was fortunately, I was met with people that respected it. You know what I'm saying? Like, they was men enough to be like, yo, he ain't even on that no more, and just let me breathe. Because I was in a situation where they could have fuck my situation up. You know what I'm saying? Because anything you get into, like before you see parole, is like it's like a strike against you.
Mhm.
If it's not your fault, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's not your fault, like sometimes they're not trying to hear that. They just like, yo, you could have prevented it. You could have, and it's like, yo, but I don't know. It's like, but I was able to come across people that I had issues with, and just able to resolve it in a different manner than I would normally, that I was used to. Like,
Sure.
responding to it like a different way. So it's like being able to have that skill set was a plus, because that's something that I didn't have before. I just get angry. Somebody say something crazy, you punch them in the mouth. Somebody look at you crazy, you punch them in the eye. Like that type of mentality. It's like, yeah, that shit don't serve you after a certain amount of time. It don't. It
But
don't.
you matured, so you grew up while you were in there. At what age would you say that you decided that you weren't going to take that road anymore, and that you were gonna be a mature man?
Probably like my early 20s. It took me a while to get there though.
That's okay, but you got there.
Yeah, it took me a while to get there. Like, I was just going through a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I would say like my early 20s, I started like, all right, yeah, I got this opportunity to see parole. Like, I gotta be doing everything in my power to get out. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't be upholding my end of the bargain when it comes to like my moms and my family members or the people close to me. I wouldn't be upholding that if I didn't do everything in my power to get out. So it's like I had to start thinking differently. I had to start like challenging myself even on shit that I stood on at one point in time. You know what I'm saying? Not everything is if somebody say something to you in a different tone, and it's not always disrespect. They may be going through something at that time that they don't really know how to deal with. So it's like, yo, thinking for me and thinking for them at the same time. So it's like going through processes like that where I'm able to just challenge myself, and like I'm always understanding of it, especially when it comes to younger kids. Like I see how aggravated or frustrated they be, and so that'd be my advice to them. Is like, yo, you just gotta give yourself grace, bro. Like, you ain't there yet, but I can see that you want to change, and that's all you need. It's like the desire to want to change, and that's going to get you far.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you ever have, so, well, first I wanted to congratulate you because it's hard to look at situations like that from other people's points of views. But and able to do that when you can look at something from someone else's point of view and you can see a situation for what it is, for the whole, then you can make better decisions based on how you're going to react to the situation. And that's a hard skill to learn, and you learned it in a hard environment. So good for you for learning it in the first place.
It's trial and error.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I did it wrong enough times for me to be like, all right, this doesn't work. It's gonna make my situation worse. So it's like, and then once you experience the shit end of it, it's like, okay, let me try something different. Let me see how this plays out. And a lot of the times when it came down to it, like, yo, we don't be wanting to be in the circumstances that we in. It's like, but if I see a person and I'm just automatically aggressive with them off rip, like, yeah, then it's like, I'm not even giving them an out. I'm not. I'm just, as soon as I see him, it's on site, and I'm meeting him with aggression. I'm meeting him with violence, and I'm like never even offering like the alternative, because some people don't want to be on that type of time. We just doing it out of circumstance. Like, you know what I'm saying? We meeting aggression with aggression, but you know, if we had like the tools or, you know, the knowledge of like how to deal with it, then it would be a little bit easier. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Sometimes it takes a while to be able. That's what I said. Sometimes it just takes a while to be like receptive towards that type of knowledge or information or whatever. So it's different.
Absolutely. And a positive attitude got you through a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
good. That's a nice skill to have, right?
yeah. Hell yeah, hell yeah.
So I have one more question. Were there any other situations that you've seen while you're in prison, or any other people that you met that were also serving life sentences, that made you think a different point of view for yourself?
Just realizing that, yo, you meet people in there that they'll possibly die in prison. Like, I'll probably never see some of them dudes again, and like they like vicariously live through us type shit. So it's like living with that is like a survivor's guilt in a sense, where it's like, damn, like I'm always thinking about that. I'm like never not thinking about that. When you're around those types of people, it's like if you go to Nashua Street, if I go to county jail, it's like everybody's at most doing, I don't know, 3 years, 2.5 people in and out. And then you go upstate, it's like, nah, this dude got 40. This dude got 2 life sentences. This dude got 150 years. This dude, like, it changes your perspective when you sit down and you have discussions with a man that been in for 50 years. You know what I'm saying? My W number is WA7567. His W number is W45. I'm like, hold on, he got a 4 number? Yo, how long you been here? Like, yo, I've been here for like 38 years. I'm like, what? You know what I'm saying? And their take on life is different. Like, these is individuals that wish they had a second chance. Like, wish they had a second chance. And even so, you got them situations where them dudes did 40, 50 years and they come home and everybody dead. Everybody knows, you know what I'm saying, dead or gone, and they coming out to nothing. So it's like I think about all that shit a lot. And I just be grateful, you know what I'm saying, that I'm able to do 19, go in at 16 and come out at 35 still in my prime and still be able to thrive like on a high level. Like, not everybody has that opportunity, you know what I'm saying? Not everybody has that opportunity. Yeah, so to come from that and just like come from that understanding of what it was, what it could be, and what it is now. Like, nah, That's a choice you make. That's a choice you make, man. You want to live like that. You want to be stuck in there for the rest of your life, standing for count at 7, 11, 4, and 10, like 10. Like you getting your 3 meals that you can't eat fruit. You only being fed bananas. Your mental health fucking sucks. And you sign up, you put in a slip to see the nurse, and they don't come to see you for 2.5 weeks, and it's something really fucked up with you. Like that's a choice you making to be like somebody. When some people out here don't know that what they signing up for. They not rapping about like, oh, if you the shit. Your mother coming to see you in a visit and she getting turned back because she don't got the right pants on, shit like that. She done drove 2 hours to see you and now she can't even get in, and then she go to the store to change her change her clothes and then come back and they're like, oh no, you can't get in now, it's past the time. You know what I'm saying? Type of psychological shit. They ain't talking about that, man. They ain't talking about all that. It's way more. It's way more that you go through psychologically in there that people don't talk about or people don't speak of just because of like their harm, their hurt, or whatever. And so it's different, man. Once you have that understanding and you've been there, you've been in the trenches, you've been in the mud, and you experienced it, then it's like it's different. It's different. You ain't out here living like we ain't out here living like the rest of everybody else because we coming from a different understanding.
Wow, wow. I'm so glad that all of that made you instead of broke you.
Yeah.
I have one more thing that might be a little bit touchy, and it's okay if you don't want to talk about it. But have you ever issued or tried to apologize to the victim's family?
Yeah, yeah. Like part of what I like, they got like restorative justice in there, and restorative justice is like uh it's programming that's based in like repairing harm, like in the community and things of that nature. And so I did like restorative justice for like 33 weeks, and we had a restorative justice retreat at MCI Concord, and part of that is like um part of the restorative justice process is like understanding like your childhood, understanding like the crime and why you're in there, and then also on top of that taking accountability for what you did. So, and that just looks like various things, but in my case it was you could write a letter to the persons that you feel like you've harmed, and that's like one of the exercises in the program, and I did it, and I wasn't able to give it to like the dude's family because his mother and his father passed away. But I met his uncle through like because we was doing different like cultural events in there like Kwanzaa, Juneteenth, and things of that nature. And I was able to meet his uncle because his uncle is like an active uh, person in the community. And he came in and spoke to us, not even knowing who I was. And then I introduced myself, told him who I was, and he was so forgiving. He was so forgiving, like genuine, like, yo, you good. I see what you in here doing. I see that you changed your life around. And like, yo, when you go for parole, I'm gonna write a letter for you. And I'm like, oh, all right. Like, not even thinking like he was actually gonna do it. And I went for parole twice, and he wrote a letter for me twice. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
So I was like, yeah, but it's all about just like showing like the genuine change and the transformation and things of that nature. And that's like part of what restorative justice is like taking accountability. And when we did the retreat, I did like a public apology, not only to his family, but like to the community, because that shit affects everybody just in an impactful way. So it's like recognizing that, like recognizing the ripple effect of an action like that, and working at it. It's like, of course, there's regret, but then it's like, all right, how do we repair harm and like live through that regret and make it meaningful? And that's part of what I do right now. I work for Transformational Prison Project, and I go inside DYSs and I'm talking to the young dudes that's like 16, 17, 15, and they locked up for murders. You know what I'm saying? I sit with them and kick in and have those discussions with them now, because I didn't have that when I was in there. Fuck, I didn't have that when I first got locked up. Like somebody to consult or ask for advice on certain things. I didn't have that. I was in at that time. I got locked up in Plymouth, and I'm way out in Plymouth. Ain't nobody coming to see you in Plymouth.
Mhm.
The only person that came to see me while I was in there was my mother, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like they're in a better position as far as that because they got a lot more resources than we had back then, and policies have changed and laws have changed. So things is a little bit different now. But yeah, yeah, that's I just I try to pay it back that just by just being a better person. That's all. That's all we can do. Just try to
Yeah,
be the best individual, best version of myself that I could be, and hopefully impact other people in a more positive way. And so that's what I've been working towards. Not easy.
no, but you're doing it.
Definitely not easy. You know what I'm saying? Definitely not easy, but we doing it.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, thank
Yeah,
you so much for meeting with me again. This is absolutely great. You gave such enlightenment and such good advice. I appreciate it very much.
you know that. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're doing good work too. Yeah,
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I see you.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
We are sponsored by Soho Bistro and Lounge.